We'll have prayer led by
me. All head bowed, eyes closed, focusing on our Lord and Savior, Jesus the Christ. Heavenly Father, I come at this hour as humble I know before thy throne of grace. I come, O God, just thanking thee because thou hast been so good to me. You have blessed everyone on the sound of my weak voice. Now, Father, I ask you just come into this room and crown our head with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the business that's at hand tonight. Let us all work in a cooperative spirit to do what's right and what's pleasing unto thee. Bless us all, Lord. Keep us, protect us, and bless us. These and all blessings we ask in your darling Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. I wish to welcome you to this meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen. Ms. Goldman, if you would, roll call to determine a quorum.
Mr. Johnson?
Here.
Mr. Nason?
Here.
Mr. Armstrong?
Here.
Mr. Long?
Here.
Mayor, all present but Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Ms. Goldman. I'm going to deviate from our normal schedule of doing announcement. I have quite a few announcements that I would like to make, but Mr. Chris Patrick is here from Denman Engineering to give us an update on the industrial site along with Steve Nasaka, who has been our consultant with this project. So if you would, I'm going to ask these two gentlemen to come and give a briefing with where we are. Thank you so much for adjusting your schedules to be with us tonight. Let me pause and let's do one thing before you start. We have a visitor here from California, the sister of the late Mr. James Johnson. And let us just bow our heads where we are now. In a moment of silence, I'm declaring Mr. Johnson as an honorary employee of the city of Bastrop because he dedicated time to helping with the Internal Revenue Tax Service for our citizens at free of charge, and he recently passed away. So let us just exercise a moment of silence, and after which I'm going to ask his sister if she'll join me at the podium. Thank you. We wish to give you this resolution as we would normally do for any regular employee, stating that Mr. Johnson is considered an honorary employee for the city of Bastrop for his contribution to this city. And I would like to give you one of our official city pins so that you will always know to come back to Bastrop. We love Mr. Johnson, appreciate his service.
Yes.
God
Thank
bless
you
you.
very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. It's good to be with you. We'll keep it brief, but we certainly are always available, and particularly Chris is available for any particular questions you may have as we continue, as you've been communicative throughout. If I would refer you to the second page of the handout, and I got just a brief comment for you. Remembering that this industrial park project and the grant from the U.S. Economic Development Administration and from the state as well to assist was, the impetus of this was all about creating a site that is commercial and industrial capable, and as a result, certainly do with the infrastructure in place that would be conducive to development, both in industrial, commercial, and the jobs that come with it. Certainly to replace the impact of the IP closure. So for all of that, the net of what we're endeavoring to accomplish after working through lots of different site analysis issues, the existing industrial park, the Coulter Industrial Park next to the airport, affords us, when we complete the infrastructure improvements, over 80 acres of contiguous space, that could be broken into pieces for smaller commercial and industrial purposes, or marketed as one big 82-acre block. So for all of that, it gives us room to subdivide it or to offer it for sale as one large tract that could be utilized. And the fortunate part you'll see as we discuss it is that it is a good opportunity for development, in that it's got road, water, sewer, gas, electricity, all of those the infrastructure required to make it ready for development. So all of those things are in place. And and Chris will talk more about the particular infrastructure improvements that will be constructed at the site. But all of those improvements, as he's going to lay out for you, only enhance its ability to be ready to be constructed upon.
Thank you, Mr. Nasaka. Mr. Patrick, Denman Engineering.
Mayor, Council, thank you for having me tonight. If you'll turn back to the very first page, the color coding that you see on there are the improvements that we will do with the money we have available. The orange line that you see are paved streets that will be constructed to help give us accessibility to the rest of the industrial park. The darker shade, that's the second in the legend, will be the existing roads that are out there. We will improve those. We will mill those off, put brand new asphalt on those, make them stronger to be able to handle the loads that could potentially come in the future. The other blue lines that you see represent additional water lines, sewer lines, and lift station upgrade that's going to be done to the water and sewer utilities out there that will also provide the additional capacity needed. If you look in the lower left-hand corner, you'll see those three little circles down there. That's the oxidation ponds that we built for DG Foods, which you also have some redundant capacity in those for any other type of food processing that might come in the future to locate at the industrial park. So with the money we have available that we've been granted, we'll be able to do all of these improvements and really bring the industrial park to a state that is site and shovel ready.
Thank you so much. The time that we've been waiting, the site has been being analyzed by these gentlemen. I want to thank you so much. In order for us to remotely become competitive with anybody else, we have to have shovel-ready site. People don't always want to have to go in and clear out trees and then search for things. We spent a lot of time on the 165 site only to find there was too many pipelines. We could not build over pipelines. So the consensus was to investigate what we already have and to augment that area and bring some more life there. There's other things that I know that we need to do. Chris, you have looked at that intersection, which has been classified as one of the most dangerous intersections. And as I understand it, there's about 80 to 100 trucks going in and out of there. Kay, is that still, has it increased anymore?
I believe that's accurate.
So getting that area up to par and having the land mass already there that is closer to being shovel-ready than anything else, I think it's a plus for us, and I certainly appreciate all the research that you have done. I know it has been very, very time-consuming. Council members, if you have any questions in reference to where we are with the EDA grant and the proposal that has been submitted to EDA, please feel free. Go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
No.
Okay.
He explained.
Okay. All right. Well, we appreciate that update.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay. Mr. Nasak, I know it takes time to...
Ma'am, one housekeeping matter just to cover with you guys is that the plans and specs that Denman Engineering has developed that would allow us to move forward and bid for the construction of this are at EDA in Austin right now, waiting for their final reviews and approvals. So once with their approval, they approve they approve and allow us to bid. So that's the next step. So you'll see permission for you to move forward, advertise, and bid the project coming very soon once they approve this. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, gentlemen, so much for that comprehensive report and the time that you spent with me this afternoon. Also, we trust that we'll have some information. We are currently upgrading our website, so we would love to be able to advertise it on our website. And Mr. Nasaka, you and I had talked about a way to promote.
Without belaboring it,
yes, sir.
As you recall, we had an opportunity to visit with LED, Louisiana Economic Development in Baton Rouge, a while back to talk about particulars. That was one of their lead information items for us and encouragements to us is to be able to foster the electronic marketing of this property to where more people outside of the state can see that it's available.
That's correct. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Happy Valentine.
Thank you.
Let me acknowledge Mr. Bill Mulkey from Risk Management. If you would like to come and have a few words for us this evening.
I don't have anything tonight, it's just a visit, but I just always enjoy coming to Bastrop to the council meetings, because it seems like you always have something going on, so it's looking good. I'm glad to hear all this, and it's just good to visit with y'all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mulkey. We always appreciate seeing you. We are so excited. We are now seated in our newly renovated city courtroom. Mr. Floyd, is there a way you can, for the listening audience at home, that you can pan the camera around to show everybody? We have new energy efficient lighting, new ceiling fans, state-of-the-art technology, new seating that meet ADA compliance, and comfortable chairs. We are extremely proud of this accomplishment. It has been a major accomplishment. Judge Philip Lester and I partnered together to make this endeavor a reality. And it is my goal to make the city court, the city hall, and all functions of the city as user-friendly, because this building belongs to you. Thank you so much, Mr. Floyd. I'm going to go into my announcements now. I met with the superintendent, the police and fire chiefs on some safety measures in terms of the school. We all know what happened, and we certainly hope that we don't ever have to deal with anything of that magnitude would happen in Connecticut. But on being proactive, I met with the superintendent, fire chief, police chief, and we talked about safety issues as it relates to our schools. The chiefs will be going into the schools with the superintendent's permission, looking at blueprints, exit entrances, all in an effort to make our schools as safe as possible. And I know that parents want to have the confidence knowing that their children are fine once they are entrusted in the care of our schools. We are preparing safety tips that will go out with Parent-Teacher Conference Day, which is February 21 and 22nd this month. Part met with the hospital, Ms. Deborah Beaver, and one of the new doctors, and they're going to also put some health tips in. We need to promote our local hospital as much as possible. We have all the state-of-the-art technology right here in our own hospital, so I look forward to more partnership with Ms. Beaver in the future. Met with Senator Mary Landrieu about a week and a half ago, and she has promised that she will be visiting us soon. Her schedule stays very, very tight, and I certainly understand that. And they were explaining that sometimes just to get her in for a 30-minute or an hour visit may take a whole day of her time and just scheduling, but I do look forward that she's going to visit with us. She's very complimentary about the effort and progress that we have made, and certainly she is supportive. I've shared with her some of the projects that we have pending. We had a second business and leadership luncheon with the chamber and other business operators. This was a second meeting. The first one we had before Christmas, and we had about 45 people in attendance. And because we had such positive feedback from that, we did an encore presentation, which was well received by the community, in which I gave an update of all of the accomplishments that have been made under this administration. You probably have noticed on West Madison, the new dollar store will soon be opening. We're extremely pleased to have worked with Mr. Jimmy Christmas, and along with the franchise agreement, the developer that's building that particular store. So that is a plus for the west side of town. Daisy Street subdivision is well underway. I visited over on that site, and I visited Mr. Steve Perry. Also, we are looking at adult education. Adult education went under the technical college system, which is now Delta Community College, no longer under the Morehouse Parish School System. But through the college system, we trust that we'll be able to have a literacy room to accommodate educational endeavors for our young people. We have to invest in education because we all know that that is a means to exit poverty and move people on the continuum to a more progressive life. We have some state-of-the-art technology at the Bastrop Municipal Center. Mr. Floyd, if you would you come and talk about all the technical terms of the Wi-Fi and everything that we have going on? We're extremely pleased with that update.
At the Municipal Center, we now have I believe it's 10-foot by 16-foot drop-down retractable screen. We have wall-mounted or ceiling-mounted audiovisual system. So anybody brings a presentation out there, or they're doing training, we can show it right up on our screen now. We have new wireless mic system, new mixer. We have Wi-Fi out there, and that's about it.
Well, that's great. And I am so pleased with that, because so often people would call, do you have Wi-Fi connection?
Yes.
Can't use cell phone? And having that major screen is a plus for presentations. Thank you so much for your service to the city, Mr. Floyd. Let me also mention the city of Bastrop has A+ credit rating, another major accomplishment that we're extremely proud of, and I think that is something that we need to brag on. We are also initiating safety tips for seniors. I talked with the chief. Chief Black, do you want to come and talk? We bounced some ideas off about how we can address seniors. I spoke with a senior citizen, and in having that conversation with her, she shared with me some of her concerns. So I told her that I appreciated what she had to say, and the chiefs and I will go out to the Council on Aging, have lunch one day with the senior citizen, and get some feedback on how we can make our neighborhoods safer for our seniors. Chief, you want to share some ideas you have?
Yeah, basically we're still doing the research on some of the things we talked about. Our goal is to make sure that they're cared for and have some outlet where they can be checked on and make sure that they don't have any problems. We're incorporating neighborhood watch programs in this, and we also are applying for other grants and looking at other technology that can assist us in keeping the neighborhood safe for not just the seniors, but for all of our citizens.
That's absolutely correct. The chief, while you're there, you've been working with the University of Louisiana at Monroe on a grant.
Yes, ma'am. We just submitted the grant today. It was an ordeal to get it submitted. We spent the week putting it together, coming up with a concept. I work in conjunction with Dr. Rob Hanser, head of the Criminal Justice Department at ULM. I began the concept and began writing it, and then I sent it to him, and he added to it. And then again today, I had updated it again, and so we added a little more to it, and it seemed like it flowed pretty smoothly. And it's just a concept paper. It was submitted to Department of Justice, and they will review it, and if they accept it, then we will be invited to apply, fill out the grant application itself.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time spent on that. Grant applications are very, very technical, and it has been a part of my experience in retiring from the school system. That was one of the tasks that I had to do, so as often as I can, I do submit applications. We have one that's pending out of California. Very competitive, though, and we have to always know you can spend a lot of time on grants, but it doesn't mean you're going to always get them. But we do have to at least try, because if you don't put your name in the hat, you know that you're not going to be considered at all. So we submitted a grant to the Delta Regional Authority, and I don't know what happened with that. They awarded 4 grants, and I'm thinking maybe they will reallocate some money and maybe offer it again, but I did have to submit paperwork to defend why I was asking what we were asking for. And Chief Montgomery submitted a grant that was safer what was it, Ms. Goldman? That
It was safer grant
okay.
for salaries, I think.
We'll get the communication to you on that one. So we have several outstanding grants. We solicit you in the listening audience to please support us with our Neighborhood Watch program. It is our desire to have someone appointed in all 5 of the districts. Ministers have agreed to be vigilant for our communities, but that's not like having someone who's living in a resident all night concerned about his or her own safety. Also, we're going to make it a point to know where our seniors, particularly those who are residing alone, to make our neighborhood safer. Thank you, Chief.
Chief, just before you go, I have one question. Senior citizen, and that should be something that they need to contact the police with immediately. Is there any certain way they can contact your office or just call the police department? What would be the best way to do
Well,
it?
certainly if it's an emergency, they need to dial 911. And I would suggest that they have a landline at their home when they do so, because you dial 911 on a cell phone, we don't have your location. But if they're at home with a landline and they dial 911, if they're not able to, for some reason, not able to verbally communicate to us, we'll at least have their location and someone will go to the residence. So that's, that's part of the enhanced 911 system that can be utilized.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for the Chief? Also, I received some communication from the regional office in Dallas for Social Security that they have announced closing our Bastrop office effective May 31st of this year. Needless to say, I was very, very disappointed to hear that, and I called back and I spoke with the representative in the Dallas office, and she told me that that was a mandate that was being handed down. And of course, I debated the issue with her. This area services Morehouse, East, and West Carroll parishes. And when you think about East and West Carroll parishes, they are the farthest away from Monroe. Very rural areas, and the people who really need Social Security service are really being put at a disadvantage. So I sent a letter, and I have sent a letter also to all of our congressional leaders to reconsider the decision that they've made, even to the extent that I offered an alternative to them. So as soon as I hear back from them, I will keep you informed. But as of now, that is the information that was passed down to me, and I'm just wanting to be optimistic that they will at least consider the alternative. Keep Morehouse Beautiful. I believe you had something in your packets from Keep Morehouse Beautiful. Ms. Carpenter is very active with that project, as you well know, and she has received some grant money from Union Pacific, $1,800, and she wants to partner with us along the main corridor, and I do appreciate that as we are working tirelessly to make sure the west entrance of town is reflective of all other points of entrance into our community. Also, Senator Francis Thompson was at the last leadership luncheon that we had, as I talked about, and he announced that we are pursuing an endeavor with a company, trusting that they'll take a look at us. And I have sent a letter to that particular company asking for a formal meeting and trust that that will all work out. I believe that concludes my announcement, with the exception of one other thing that I must do, Ms. Goldman, unless you can think of anything else that I missed. I received an email from the Department of Justice in reference to the Congressional Badge of Courage for officers. So I started thinking about our officers and who had done something that merits special recognition. And of course, we appreciate all of our officers and the work that they do and how they put their lives in danger in the line of duty every day. And this particular award said you could apply or nominate someone if they had an injury, or they had a category if you didn't sustain an injury. And I'm pleased to offer two nominations that we formally presented to the Department of Justice for the Congressional Award. We know, again, that is very competitive on a high level, but we can recognize our own officers with a plaque of achievement. Chief Black, if you would join me at the podium. The first nominee is Mr. John Anthony Evans. Mr. Evans, who is a seasoned officer, and I remember the exact day of the high-speed chase that Mr. Anthony's unit was dispatched for an armed robbery. And he followed that unit all the way to Monroe. The whole chase and the time from he started until the cuffs were put on was 20, 25 minutes. So that lets you know the rate of speed in which he was traveling. I'm glad I wasn't on the road that day. But that arrest led to solving a string of criminal activity that had occurred around. So on behalf of the City of Bastrop and this council, we wish to present you with our own celebration for your efforts to make our community a safer place. So we know that we are winners, whether we're recognized in Washington, D.C. or not. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor.
Would you like to have some words?
I just appreciate the certificate and the award, and thank you for your consideration, and hopefully we'll win the one in Washington, D.C. also. Thank you.
Mr. Evans' wife is here. Thank you. Thank you so much for bringing him. Also, another skilled officer had a request. Our unit responded to a suicide attempt, and the person requested Mr. McDuffie. Mr. McDuffie, would you join us at the podium? And it was my pleasure to nominate Assistant Chief Bubba McDuffie as another nominee for the Congressional Badge of bravery. He was able to successfully talk the gentleman out of committing suicide while he kept all of his colleagues safe. So on behalf of this Board of Aldermen, it is my pleasure to nominate you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir. You want to have something to say? Speech, brother?
Yeah, no, I'm not good at this. I appreciate it. And I'm glad everything worked out like that. And I hope to beat out Anthony going to Washington.
Okay, we will get back to, is Joe here? Joe, if you would come and do us a briefing on a particular situation that we got taken care of. We had planned to spend time with the council members prior to the meeting, but if you'll just do a briefing.
The one we received a letter from DEQ on your
Yes.
Yes. Well, basically, DEQ took over monitoring of the Bastrop permit and all of the paperwork that goes with it from EPA back in May. And they've been going through all their files with a fine-tooth comb, and they came across some stuff that was not submitted. In over 10 years, this paperwork was never submitted in the past, and it's basically something that was never asked for in the past, but even though it was in the permit. So DEQ is now flexing their muscle, and they want to make sure everything is getting reported like it should be. So we just basically put a letter together, compiled all the paperwork that they asked for, submitted it to them, and sent it to them registered mail. And we also had to have a brief explanation of why there was a violation there at the same time frame, and that was at about the same time of when DG Foods did their startup over there, and there was some problems with their treatment when they first started up, and that caused us to have some violations at the plant. So basically, we just put all that together, sent it into them, and that was all that was required that they wanted in that letter. So we've fulfilled everything they asked for in that letter.
Okay. Thank you for your prompt response to that particular letter. So I believe we may have put copies of that in the packets, Ms. Goldman. Okay. Okay, item number, that concludes my announcements. Are there any other announcements, council members? Okay. Item number 4, public comments as they relate to items on the agenda. Item number 5, at this time I will entertain a motion to approve the previous minutes, regular meeting January 10, 2013.
So moved.
Properly moved by Mr. Nason.
Second.
And second by Mr. Johnson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Finance Committee Report Resolution 13-1484, bills and claims for the month of January. Mr. Locke.
May I move for the acceptance of the Financial Committee Report Resolution 13-1484, bills and claims for the month of January 2013.
Properly moved by Mr. Locke. Are there?
Second.
Okay, and second by Mr. Nason. Are there any questions? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item number 7 we have already taken care of with the industrial park. Item number 8, resolution 13-1485, resolution commending James Johnson for his exemplary service. We've taken that. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Item number 9, appointing a member to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Elder Smith, it is my pleasure to present to you Elder Ernest Smith, who has accepted serving on our board, and we are so appreciative. Would you like to come and make some comments, Elder Smith? I think we've hit the ground running. I looked in the conference room Monday night. He was already in his first meeting. And we certainly want to welcome you and thank you for your service to the city of Bastrop. There's no higher honor than to serve and know that you're not going to be paid for it. If you'd like to make some comments, you may.
Oh, well, I'm very appreciative that you thought of me, that I was being thought of, and I plan on to serve the best of my ability.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you so much. At this time, I will entertain a motion on appointing Elder Ernest Smith.
May I make that motion?
Properly moved by Mr. Johnson,
Second.
second by Mr. Locke. Are there any questions? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Elder Smith, and congratulations. Ms. Rita Carroll, is she here? She's not here. Okay. Item number 11, Resolution 13-1482, informing the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality of actions taken. Okay. How did I take that out of order, Joe? I did it on the announcement. Oh, is this a different one?
It's a different one.
Wait a minute.
These are your, are these the annual approvals for the two ponds?
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, we can go ahead and address both items at the same time, because one's for the West Pond and one's for the main plant.
Okay.
And this is basically just an annual thing that we have to do to send in to DEQ and give them a list of improvements that we've done in the past year and what we plan to do in this year, and how we're going to keep everything, equipment running to the best of our ability. It's just basically a rubber stamp kind of thing. We have to make sure we submit to them on an annual basis. And everything's ready. We just need to get y'all to vote on it and submit it to the state, and then we're good to go.
Okay. You've heard the presentation by Mr. Fontenot, Resolution 13-1482. What is your pleasure?
I might make that motion.
We have
Second.
a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Joe,
Same.
Same.
okay, I didn't say 13-1483, so
Right.
so we need to take care of it officially because I only stated
Yes.
the one. Okay,
He,
okay.
He mentioned that it was for the West Pond and for the main pond, and they are annual. These are the annual
It's the same thing for
renewals.
both plants. We just got one. You just
Identical, just
you need to
okay.
vote on each one separately, but they're both basically the same thing.
Okay.
One for each plant.
Thank you so much. Okay, at this time, I will entertain a motion on Resolution 13-1483.
May I move for the resolution 13-1483 acceptance?
Properly moved by Mr. Locke,
Second.
second by Mr. Armstrong. Are there any questions? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 13, Resolution 13-1486, authorizing the mayor to retain and engage the professional services of the Institute for Building Technology and Safety to furnish building code inspection, management, compliance service as per written proposal presented to perform all other reasonable and necessary acts related thereto. Mr. McKee, that was a mouthful.
Mayor, Board of Aldermen, this is a renewal of the original contract that we've already had. And the contract is basically the same. There are a couple of options that we can exercise if we want to. And right at this time, we're asking the council to give the mayor permission to negotiate the contract.
Okay, you have heard the presentation. This is something standard that it is a necessary item. I'll entertain a motion at this time.
I'll make that motion, man.
Properly moved by Mr. Armstrong,
Second.
second by Mr. Johnson. Are there any questions?
I have one.
Yes, sir.
Ms. McKee, you said there are two options?
Yes, sir. There's the original contract, as it is, and there are a couple of options. There's one option that we can exercise where we would want the city to collect the money, but it will actually be made out to the building inspection company. I have discussed that with Ms. Goldman, and we don't think that that may be an option that we're interested in right now.
Right at the present.
Sir?
Right at the present time. We're not.
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. At this time, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Properly moved. And second. Are there any questions? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Item number 14, Resolution 13-1487, authorizing the city to enter into an intergovernmental agency agreement with Bastrop Fire Protection District Number 2. Mr. McKee.
Once again, this is a renewal of a contract that we've had with Bastrop Fire Protection District Number 2 for years. That there won't be any change, and the contract basically says that they pay out the total cost of the operations of those two stations, Station 4 and Station 5.
Okay.
Again, where are those located?
Station 4 is located on the Openita Road,
Okay.
and Station 5 is located on 139 South.
Having heard that presentation, here again, this is a renewal. I'll entertain a motion.
Correction on something.
Yes, sir.
Date on is dated for January 1st, 2010.
And the original that they're gonna sign says January the 1st, 2014.
Yeah, I think we all got
Yeah.
an earlier copy,
Yeah.
and the corrected copy is effective 2014.
2014, okay.
Okay, thank you for that observation. Where do we leave off, Mr. Armstrong?
Motion. Need a motion.
Okay, at this time, I will entertain a motion.
Second.
We
So
had-
moved.
Wait a minute. Are we straight, Mr. Lawrence?
Yeah, we're straight
Seems
on
like the
contract.
second came before the motion, didn't it?
Oh,
The
I
second that
didn't-
emotion.
That's the
We
part I
have a
wasn't following.
motion and a second, you're ready to vote.
Okay. Are there any questions? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 15, Resolution 13-1488, authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with T.J. Phillips Design LLC for the professional service of engineering, consulting, and design for the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development, Bastrop Gateway Medium. Looking forward to that project. Mr. McKee.
This is a contract, and T.J. Phillips Design. Mr. Phillips was with this project since conception. Since that time, Mr. Phillips has started his own company, and the company that he did work for recommends that we establish a contract with him for the design and implementation of this project.
Okay. That is correct, and we have a meeting to that effect tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And Mr. Phillips had the experience and the background information on it, and I got a call in reference to suggesting that he would be the one to aid us in executing the process. You've heard the presentation by Mr. McKee. At this time, I will entertain a motion on resolution.
So moved.
Properly moved by Mr. Nason.
Second.
And second by Mr. Locke. Are there any questions? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. McKee. Don't leave yet. Don't go. I mean, don't go out the back door. Just stay
Close.
We've had some changes that have occurred with the Public Works Department, and Mr. McKee will be moving into another position with reduced hours as special coordinator of special projects. And as you've heard, we've got the Gateway Medium project going on. We have the painting of the exterior painting of the City Hall. We've got the completion of the industrial site and many other areas of specialty that we need to retain his service here, but he will be part-time. But having said that, and I want to thank Mr. McKee for all that he has taken on with him. I think everything that's not police and fire is public works, so you can imagine the magnitude of that. You've got health, sanitation, you've got the litter, you've got the building, you've got the vehicles, you got the garage, you have the everything, as I said. So I want to thank him for his years of service. You have 35 years of service with the city of Bastrop. But in that he has moved into a reduced number of hours, we had to have someone at the helm of Public Works. And it is my pleasure to appoint, ladies and gentlemen, interim Public Works Director, Mr. Barry Johnson, who comes to us, if you would, Mr. Johnson, stand, comes to us with 24 years of experience. He's very familiar with the roads, the bridges, the layout of the land. He's quite familiar with, if you'll come to the microphone and just so that the general public, we are being televised. This is his first meeting, so I don't want to make him a little shy here, but I am so appreciative also for his years of service. So frequently, Mr. McKee, when he would call me, because they all know to call me with the late night calls, crews out, Barry's always out late nights. So for those 2 o'clock in the morning, thank you so much. And council members, it is my pleasure to present to you as Interim Director of Public Works, Mr. Barry Johnson. At this time, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Properly moved
Second.
and second. Are there any questions, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Public Works is a very large department, and in fact, Will, I don't know how you did it. You know, I hope that you won't have time on your hand to think about it and wonder, then come back and make another call to me. But it really was massive for one person to handle that. So I have revamped the department and broken it up into pieces to make it more digestible. But Mr. Johnson, as I indicated and as you have approved, will be serving as interim director in overall capacity. Mr. Johnson, you have any words you'd like to say?
No, I appreciate being selected to take this position. Only thing I try to do my best, best of my ability, with a lot of help from all the co-workers, and we can come to pay them back, do our best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have Evelyn with us, Evelyn Lenore, and one of those breaking up the parts and making it more digestible, Parks and Recreation. Ms. Lenore will be managing, under the direction of Mr. Johnson, the parks, the recreation, and the interior of buildings, and going in, making assessments and making a work order list and passing that on to Mr. Johnson and his assistant in terms of assigning staff. Ms. Lenore, if you'd like to stand up. This is not a position that would require any council action. It is a situation I feel that we will be more efficient, and she has already been on her post. Thank you so much for your years of service. You want to say something? Not really. Okay, well, you'll do the audience a favor since we're being televised at least. Okay. Ashley may be watching. Is she here?
I'd just like to say that I thank the mayor for the opportunity to serve in this capacity. I know that Park and Recreation is very dear to my heart, and I'd just like to thank you all for this opportunity and working along with Mr. Barry. I've been knowing him for about 16 years now, and we're going to do our very best to for the city of Bastrop, because we love the city of Bastrop.
Thank you so much. Okay, and also, we took the vote on Mr. Johnson, didn't we?
Yes.
We did, okay. At this time, I will ask you for a motion to expand the agenda to discuss appointing an acting fire chief and discussion acting on the Gateway Median Grant. Is it another part to that we got?
Part that come in after the agenda, yes.
Oh, okay. At this time, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Properly moved by Mr. Armstrong
Second.
and seconded by Mr. Locke. Are there any questions? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, at this time, it is my pleasure to present to you, Mr. Brown. I'm asking for your blessings to appoint an acting fire chief. Chief Montgomery is out due to personal reasons. And we must always have someone at the helm of these strategic positions that are near and dear to the heart of the city of Bastrop. At this time, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Properly moved by Mr. Armstrong
I second.
and second by Mr. Johnson. Are there any questions? Discussion? Any opposed? Give.
No.
Okay. We did our second and our. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion carried. Okay. Mr. Brown, anything you'd like to say?
I just want to thank you for the opportunity to fill in for the chief while he's out.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Mr. Brown comes to us with a number of years of service with the Bastrop Fire Department. He is currently serving as our, well, he will be dually serving as our